what villain or villains actually kind of had a good reason for doing what they did. Mr. Freeze. He is just looking to find a cure for his wife. Literally all his capers are to either get revenge on the people who made him what he is, or to make money for the expensive chemicals and equipment he needs to keep his wife alive in cryostasis. So yeah, they thought he was cold-hearted, but he was actually a cool guy. Just so we are clear, the Grinch never really hated Christmas. He hated people. Which is fair. Jim Carrey, The Hoss and the Grinch, 2000, were the worst. Especially the mayor. He is mostly the reason the Grinch is like that. As a kid he made fun of him for being green and furry. He mocked him along the other Hoss when he tried shaving to fit with the others. And finally he gave him that joke gift that pushed over the edge. Mayor Augustus is a true villain. Mance Rayder from Goatee. For those that don't watch the show, the protagonist, Jon Snow, and others at Castle Black guard a giant wall / a tunnel in that wall. On one side of the wall there lives a group of people led by Mance Rayder. They want to force their way through that tunnel, because the other side is safer. Semicolon. Quote from Mance Rayder. Here's me being honest with you, Jon Snow. Which is more than you've ever done for me. My people have bled enough. We are not here to conquer. We are here to hide behind your wall. Just like you, we need your tunnel. Now, we both know that winter is coming. And if my people aren't south of the wall, when it comes in earnest, we'll all end up worse than dead. You want to strike a bargain with me? Here's the bargain. You go back. You open the gates to us. And I swear to you that no one else will die. Refuse. And we'll kill every last man at Castle Black. Semicolon. Jon Snow then rejects this proposal, only to propose something similar to Torment. Not to mention that, if Mance's people were left to die outside the wall they would all become zombies, and add to the White Walker army. So letting them through would literally be doing themselves a huge favor. But to the Night's Watch they've been guarding the wall against the wildlings for centuries. The White Walkers are just scare stories made up to frighten children. Drive. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Legit. I was gonna say this. And he had really good motivation, but terrible execution. Hes literally a genius. He makes all these machines. There's over 100 episodes of Phineas and Ferb, which means Hes making me innators every day. Orman Aquaman. Dude was just mad about pollution. Also Orman Norseman. He just wants to be included. Pinky in the Brain. There was an episode of Animaniacs. Can't remember which one or what characters were in it, but they travel to the future, and it's a utopia. Turns out the future is one in which they finally manage to take over the world. Apparently, whilst they may be pretty awful in trying to take over the world, Brain has a good plan for what he intends to do once he's in control. Brain equals drive. Doom. I definitely see the parallels. Megamind. He was only a villain because he believed it was something he felt he had to do, when deep down he wasn't happy with living that life unless someone was there to stop him. Metro Man. That's why the relationship he built with Roxanne, while in his Bernard disguise, is so important to his story. The romance he forms with her allows him to realize he can do more with his life than just being a villain. Him and Metro Man had the same internal conflict. They only became what everyone else wanted them to be, rather than choosing their own destiny. Agreed. It could be said that he was only a villain because he wanted to fit in within a world where Metro Man existed. Hades. Zeus was an ass. Almost all of the Greek gods are total asses. The fact that Zeus was a level-headed one during the Trojan War never ceases to amaze me. Magneto. In real life. Possibly Wojciech Jaruzelski, the last communist dictator of Poland. He'd been in a Soviet forced labor camp during WW2 and was dreadfully afraid of the Soviets intervening in his country if they overthrew the communist government. Definitely agree with Magneto as an answer to this question. When he says mutants can never coexist with normal humans, he speaks from experience. Edit. Clarifying. He left Mystique to die when she was useless to him. Yeah. He's kind of an ends justify the means kind of villain. From what I've heard, I know virtually nothing firsthand. X-Men isn't exactly known for its consistency anyways. Dracula from Castlevania, the Netflix show. Ignorant god-worshipping men who were afraid of knowledge burned his wife at the stake. Wanted to live like the mortals, but instead had the only part of his humanity murdered. I actually stopped watching the series like 3 episodes in, because I knew I was going to be on Dracula's side for the whole show, and not enjoy the outcome. The dinosaurs in the initial Jurassic Park movies. It's not their fault they were brought back from extinction, and needed some meat to eat / defend themselves. They're just trying to live their best lives too. I think Newman was the real villain there. That's one thing I disliked about the movie. Hammond was the real villain. Pain from Naruto. That dude suffered for his entire life until he put his powers to use and established rule in the Hidden Rain Village, a village in which he could see and hear everything. His belief was that if everybody knows all of the feelings that encompass pain, it would bring about a mutual understanding amongst people, and the worst part is that he isn't entirely wrong. Despite how deeply flawed of an outlook it is, my man was just done really dirty is all. Obito's and Madara's motivation was equally heartbreaking. Naruto has really good antagonists. General Hummel, Ed Harris, in The Rock, yeah, had very basic almost comical demands for what he was doing, although with the US government, it actually is believable. The thing about that is his demands are comical, but US government refuses to acknowledge war dead and pay out to their widows sounds all too believable. The Grinch. As an adult, I really feel for him. I mean, he was bullied and he just hates people and materialism, but ultimately gets sucked in and brainwashed like the rest of us. Only in the remake. In the original the hosts were not materialistic and didn't bully him. The original is actually quite heartwarming. That suddenly he realized that being happy was a choice that the hosts made for themselves and didn't rely on the stuff. I always took the meaning to be not that happiness was a choice per se, but that it, particularly at the holidays, wasn't based on materialism. It was about family, community, kindness, etc. Blade Runner, Roy Batty. Roy was, in every sense, beautiful. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhäuser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. Here's a veteran. I have heard similar stories from Vietnam vets. They describe watching rockets at night and rubber plantations with trees as thick as the hair on a dog's back. To me, Blade Runner is an anti-war movie and the replicants are vets no one sees as human anymore. Interesting take. I haven't heard it before, but I really like it. The way I watch it, it fits so perfectly I cannot imagine what else the movie could be about. I guess we all bring something different to a film and that's part of the magic of it. Jaime Lannister, Kingslayer. He saved the lives of millions by breaking his oath. If you read more than the first book or watch more than the first season it's obvious that Jaime is no villain. You really need to get to book 3 to see Jaime as not being a villain. I think his POV chapters really humanized him. And it wasn't until he met Brienne that he really began his redemption in earnest. He's not a villain in the whole Kingslayer thing, but he still pushed Bran out of a window to save his own and Cersei's reputation. He was less saving his reputation than he was saving the life of the woman he loved and their children. He knew that if Robert found out, all their lives would be forfeit, and he knew that Tywin would start a war over that. Jaime probably thought he was stopping a war by killing Bran. Not really the villain, but Sharpay from High School Musical. Poor girl had been involved in musicals and drama her whole life, but suddenly, the basketballer she has a crush on and a random nerdy girl take over the main casting? It's ridiculous. No wonder she lashes out all the time. Of course she's jealous. Sharpay was the real victim in those movies. Also, she had no idea if those two had any sort of dedication. They may skip out at any time. Red Hood from Batman. He kept his rules straight, took control of the local gangs, made sure the kids were protected. Why shouldn't he kill villains? They keep escaping, killing more people, so it's better just to end them right then and there. A product of the society can't be blamed by the society. The Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. I empathize the most with this version of the Vulture. He got royally ducked by the government, and when he had an opportunity to straighten things out, he was undermined by an incompetent employee who forced his hand into the wrong side. Team Vulture on this one. Fuck the governor. I liked the Vulture in the comics, and was really worried he wouldn't make the transition to the screen. Instead, they improved him immensely. It's incredible how well done he is. I found Vulture kind of boring in the comics. I was super surprised how cool he was on screen. Really neat adaptation. Bad guy in Jaws just trying to live his best life. The mayor actually had a valid concern. If they lose that tourism revenue, the town would be in serious trouble. Would you risk your town's biggest source of revenue over some accident that may have been a shark? How was he supposed to plan for the unlikelihood of man-eating shark? I was actually referring to the shark, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. Most of the major Naruto villains, they wanted peace, but had very bad ways of making it happen. Poison Ivy is just trying to save the world from global warming. Ra's al Ghul wants environmental balance through purging overpopulation, having observed humanity tending to live near the brink, before committing to solutions. Talia is more level-headed about how to achieve such tasks. My dad won't watch X-Men with me anymore, because I'm pretty firmly Team Magneto. I cannot think of a more valid reason to become a villain at the first sign of making people identify themselves/register as mutants. Was just talking about this with so last night regarding Civil War. We both agreed the Registration Act was stupid and dangerous and would done more harm than good, especially for mutants. Hilariously, despite the MCU never accepting AOS as a thing that was happening, Steve's nightmare came pretty true. Politicians using access to the Accords to get names of registered empowered people and then giving/selling that information to people who wanted to get rid of them. Exactly the same thing that many who supported it said could never happen. Magneto and Lex Luthor are the two biggest ones in my opinion. All Magneto wanted was for mutants to be treated fairly. When waging war didn't work, he built a safe haven for mutants. All Lex Luthor wanted to do was keep his planet safe from an all-powerful alien that could easily kill everyone in the country in less than a day. When I watched the Joker, I felt so bad for him. All that pain and he couldn't even get the right resources and help because he was from the lower class. The talk show host made fun of him and only invited him to make more fun of him. So cruel. We see this in our real society. Edit. I want to make it clear that I'm not justifying his killings. That is in no way right at all. I'm simply saying it's sad that Arthur suffered from many issues in his childhood into adulthood and couldn't get the proper help. Instead of offering him help, society also made fun of him or disregarded him as unworthy. I love that they actually focused on Arthur trying to get the help that he needs. Usually the Joker is just an asshole who does what he does for shits and giggles, but here he actually just wanted to be a good person. I think it was meant to be more of an origin story. The crazy nihilistic villainy will come later lol. Well yay. He was guy fighting to be normal. No matter what he did he was laughed at and looked down upon. He decided to embrace the crazy. I can't say I blame him. Fortunately I have love in my life because I can't understand living in a world that hates you. Hate is temporary, arguably. Depending on origin story, the Joker isn't necessarily the bad guy, but the product of the bad society. The immune response to the disease of the society. The Terminator. He has to kill John Connor before John kills his robot family. My Alexa agrees. My Siri agrees. Drive. Callaghan from Big Hero 6. He was essentially driven mad by the loss of his daughter and wanted revenge on the man whose carelessness had led to that loss. The equivalent for Crowley was his company, so Callaghan would stop at nothing to destroy it, even if a few lives were inadvertently taken in the process. Like Tadash's. You took everything from me. Now, I'm going to take everything from you. Thing is, if he hadn't done what he did his daughter would have been stuck there forever, and Tadashi would still be alive. I feel like Tadashi is the kind of person who would be okay with that. I guess that's another reason why he deserved to live. Does anyone else think Satan got a raw deal? He was the lead in Heaven's Choir and then he got booted out of heaven with his homies. Maybe he's just a disgruntled employee who wanted a more robust employee recognition program. The show Lucifer explores this, and it's a valid theory. My interest is piqued. Thanks for sharing. It's a great show. I really like it. The first 3 seasons are 20 plus episodes, and then the show moved to Netflix and now it's around 10 episodes per season. The tone shifts in season 4, too, for the better in my opinion. Whoever thought of making Lucifer into a pretty cheesy police procedural gets around on me. I'm totally hooked and can't wait for the second half of season 5 to finally come out. Killmonger. I feel his execution was off, and genocide isn't the answer, but his reason was good. He witnessed and experienced suffering and oppression of his people, knowing there was a solution but no one wanted to do anything about it. Hey PSSST. Please subscribe and like.